Hello, friends. We're back with the final part of the Hex
Spoilers.
here on this serene glacier or whatever.
We're playing as a nondescript
Yeah.
black Inuit individual.
So after you've finished the Hex proper, you download this game called Beneath the Surface by Carla51. What we have here is a little fishing game. So you just cast your line, you wait, and then when you get that sweat drop, you pull it up, and
All right.
so now we can upgrade my hook and my reel.
Oh, so now you can go deeper.
Yeah, so let me just catch one more.
Beneath the surface. Oh, it's deep.
Yeah. So see, fish are worth a certain amount of money. And yeah, if I upgrade my line length, I can go down.
So it's kind of like Cookie Clicker, where you're getting upgrades that give you more money to buy more upgrades, and sort of endless loop.
Except there is an end. After about 40 minutes, there's a straight up end to the game.
I see.
It's a 40-minute cookie clicker, but
Does he eat the fish? Is that the ending?
yeah, no. So here's we'll get right into it. What it is with this game is if you fish deeper and deeper and deeper, if you fish all the way to the bottom, then your hook goes through the world and comes down from the top, and then you fish yourself out of reality, and the game is over. But before you hit that point, I'm not going to do it because, again, it's a half-hour, 40-minute experience, but before you reach that point, at some point, you fish up a mysterious locket. And as you may remember, through fishing in the Hex,
Right.
we assembled a locket that Lazarus has. He said that this locket displayed some unknown characters or script or alphabet. And he can't read it, but possibly some very intelligent person could. And if you fish up the locket in this game, you get a string of characters and letters and numbers, which is some kind of cipher, and it's the starting point for an ARG. That, you solve IRL puzzles.
Okay.
And the community has done this already.
Good.
And so what that leads you to, and let's see if this works, if memory serves. I'll look it up real quick if it doesn't work.
I'm sure if you go into the Steam overlay, there'll be a guide.
Right.
Telling you what to do.
But I believe what you do once you've solved the puzzle is you type in
Sarsaparilla.
Lionel.exe.
Oh shit.
Yes.
What are you installing on my computer, Evan?
GameWorks. And look what we have here.
Oh, we're in Stanley Parable. No, we're in
This is Lionel
No, we're in a
Snow.
disco.
Oh, we have to
I'm
turn
recording
this
this
up.
because
There's no subtitles.
This is crazy, right? Speaking to a video game character? Come on. Well, here it goes anyways.
Yeah, apologies if this is a bit loud, viewers, but there aren't subtitles for this, and we just want to make sure you can hear it since it's the sort of...
Well, I mean, it's not going to be loud to them. At most, they'll get some audio bleed into our audio.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, I can't hit escape to get options of any kind.
But the haunted
I've
game couldn't be
seen
bothered to
some
have.
things lately that made me think. What if the characters that I've created live somehow? Like, in some way, they know who I am. It's probably nonsense, just some trolls on the GameWorks forums getting the better of me.
Okay, he's done. Yeah, so this is that...
That's a very specific and relevant thing he just thought randomly.
So this is that scene from the, what was supposed to be the end of Walk, and this would have been the door.
Oh, because that's the podium. I see.
Yeah, that's that podium.
Okay.
Wait a minute, hold on. Oh, no, I have to go back. Test floor drop? Yeah.
But in the case that the stories they tell are true, and the really unlikely case, I think I would owe one of my characters an apology.
Before he murders
No
you.
one else knows this, but Super Weasel Kid was not my first game.
Yeah.
I actually made this really janky root beer game when I was even younger. The only thing I liked about it was the main character, Root Beer Reggie. I made him look like a younger version of my grandpa. Then, after my grandpa passed, I still had Reggie. I don't know what I was thinking, but when Super Weasel Kid was almost done, I figured that I'd ought to delete the old root beer game. I guess I thought it looked better if my very first game was something great. Like I was some kind of prodigy. Irving handled deleting the files. I couldn't bear doing it myself. He told me that Reggie would be exported to a different game, but I never saw him again.
And zoop. So we're in the
Yeah, we're in Root
we're
Beer
in
Reggie.
Root Beer Reggie.
Well, if you're out there somewhere, Reggie, I still miss you. And I'm sorry.
Aw.
Yeah. And there you have it.
Is that the ending?
Yeah. Oh, but wait, what's this? Hopefully this bit shows up.
I don't think it's going to show up.
Well,
Unfortunately.
what you may or may not have seen is that Sato.exe has now been installed on Alex's computer.
Okay. So stop the recording then, so we can do whatever we have to do now.
Okay, we're back in the pleasant glacier here.
Yeah. So I mean, we didn't want to end. Apparently that's it.
Yeah.
I assume there's gonna be more.
I'm sorry, I should have warned you, Alex, that was it.
We didn't want to lead you guys on.
Yeah.
So that apparently that's the hex in its entirety.
Yes, it is. And so at the end, I really like it because you get this bittersweet kind of conclusion where, you know, because of Irving's nature, it made it easy for the player to frame Lionel as this huge jackass.
Right.
But it's only, you know, you began to realize it yourself, but it's only then that it's actually confirmed as such that, yeah, these characters were somehow sentient, you know, and...
Well, I mean, it was obvious they were sentient. I wasn't certain why they would be, and it seems like it's connected to whatever, like, nebulous sort of AI process that gives us everything.
And so in my mind, it's sort of, there's a few possibilities that it could be because of this. So it's either that Lionel is such an amazing coder.
He's not.
That he generated sentient software.
He's not. That's explicit. That's explicitly said by him.
And
Lionel explicitly confirms that Irving came with the game's work,
right.
game making program, and Irving was doing all the heavy lifting for his programming. He mentioned that he himself had very little to do with the actual coding.
Right, or you know, or the other thing I think of is like GameWorks as a software is sentient software that produces further sentient software.
I mean, I don't think it's supposed to be. It's because he doesn't express surprise that, you know, the AI is so. He expresses surprise the AI is as good as it is, but you know, he's not freaking out that Irving is helping him with the programming. So I believe Irving is supposed to be like a virtual helper who just kind of like went beyond his programming. And I think Irving is actually pretty interesting because kind of like you were saying before, like the events of the game frame him as sort of like a very like villainous character.
Yeah.
I guess because I mean he's the villain, but I guess the better way to say it is it frames him as a much more malicious character. When going off what we see at the end, it seems really more like that he just really cares about Lionel, and he really wants Lionel to succeed.
Yeah.
And he's doing what he believes.
What needs to be. He's making the hard choices
exactly
to get Lionel to be a success at the cost of
exactly. He's
other alive things.
He's overly enthusiastic about what he does. It doesn't seem like he's actually a malicious character. He's not evil. He's just, you know, he's kind of heartless.
And it's kind of interesting because there were in the scene where where these few programs who didn't like their situation staged the attack on the GameWorks, right? It was suggested that there were a bunch of other NPCs that just went, okay, this is my job. Sometimes I don't get to pick it.
Right.
But I'm an NPC. I'm going to be in a game, kind of like a for the good of the user thing.
Well, all those like Grundas and other like miscellaneous like NPC characters, like they probably have lives considerably suckier than our main characters.
Yeah, and they managed to just sort of make it their 9 to 5 or however it works for software, right?
So we're intended to empathize with the main characters, of course, because that's our natural inclination.
Yeah.
As the consumers of the media. But if you examine the situation from a bit farther out, it does call into question just how whether or not what they were doing was for the greater good or just kind of about a self-centered desire for revenge and freedom, and whether or not that in itself is actually evil or not. I'm not providing answers on this.
Right.
Because ultimately, this is the kind of story. This is kind of like The Lady and the Tiger. It's the kind of story where there are no hard conclusions. It's kind of like, what do you take away? It's a story about applicability. It's not about. I would say it's not really about analysis so much as what do you personally take away from the story.
Yeah, and then on a different, coming from a different perspective, a less analytical perspective, it's just. At the end of the day, for me, it's really sort of well-written tragedy because...
Oh, absolutely.
Because, Lionel didn't know any of this. He thought he was just making games, and they're just bits, But you have these characters that he brought to life that feel stuff, but they couldn't communicate to him how they were feeling because Irving was such a huge gateway, like a gatekeeper. And so seeing that ending, I just went, my first reaction was, oh God, like, Reggie, why didn't you tell Lionel anything? And it's because, Irving was like, this isn't your place, like, stay in your box. Mm-hmm. And it's just so tragic that at the end of the day, like, the characters not being able to say, hey Lionel, how's it going, led them to be so bitter that they just, had to kill him. Like,
tragic. Are those fish producing other fish?
Yes, they are ever pregnant guppies.
Oh, seems unethical.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. This is like a clicker.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that. People tend to use tragedy as a synonym for something that's like really really sad, but tragedy does, by definition, requires there to be like a few steps beyond sadness, and this qualifies because everybody here involved in this tale is a victim of circumstance. They literally live in different worlds, and they just can't communicate, their struggles to each other.
Yeah, it's
Lionel's not a bad guy. I guess it's kind of banal, but I guess like kind of the easiest comparison is say like Toy Story, where you have Andy who does shitty things to his toys on occasion, not because he intends to, but because he doesn't know his toys are alive. He loves his toys, compared to Sid, who's a fucking little asshat. Independently of, like, he doesn't know the toys are alive, but he tortures them because he's a piece of shit. And Lionel clearly does have affection for his characters, at least. It seems like he gets a little bit less he isn't quite like the ones that like Carla made so much. But he loves Bryce to death, and he loves Mr. Shrew, and he loves Weasel Kid.
Yeah.
And obviously he deeply loves Reggie.
Right.
That ending hit really hard.
Yeah. No, it's cool, right? Isn't it great? Because for me, it was very. How do I say this? Like, I'm a huge fan of Tron, and so it reminds me in a much less. Obviously, Tron does it in a much less sad way, but it is about that sort of disconnect between sentient program and the user, and in Tron, it's about them trying to find a way, like, how do I communicate with this guy out there?
Right.
And the Hex is such a tragedy because ultimately they just can't, no matter how much they want to, and so all that's left to them is to go off what they're feeling.
Well, it's also kind of interesting you brought that up, and I mean it didn't occur to me until you did, but it's kind of interesting that in Tron, despite the fact that things are kind of shitty for the programs and for the programs inside the computer.
Yeah.
I forget if they have like a broad term for the concepts.
This program.
This program. It's interesting that in Tron, despite the fact that the user kind of makes their life shitty accidentally, they are still very much optimistic and on the side of the user. Tron fights for the user.
Yeah.
Regardless. Whereas here, Lionel does not have any friends.
Right.
Among our main what is it, like 6 characters?
Yeah. I mean, if you're counting Reggie,
yeah,
then 7, I believe.
I'm trying to. Because Hex, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, it keeps getting more nuanced.
The layers just
are going deeper. But we don't truly find that out until we learn what their fucking like master plan was the entire time.
But the thing is,
yeah.
It's so sad because they would be friends. If Irving wasn't like, this is a business and we're here to make money, Reggie would have found a way to use the Hex to go like, hey, Lionel, let's be like cool Tron friends,
But Reggie was so clearly like scarred.
Yeah.
Like
Irving broke his legs.
Yeah,
broke
his legs and destroyed his game. Like there was just no way that he was going to come back from that. And Reggie's clearly been unhinged the entire game.
And that's the thing. This game makes me realize that I've seen a lot of things that are sad, right? But I don't think I've seen a well-done tragedy in quite some time.
No, it's a lot harder to pull. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it is significantly easier to just go for sad emotional beats.
Yeah, just pull the heartstrings.
Yeah, and especially one of the things that you can look at objectively to show that how the Hex was so effective in pulling this off is that we didn't need the characters to tell us any of this stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't have anyone go, oh my god, we killed Lionel, and that certainly was a tragedy.
Right.
Which is how bad writers,
Right.
You can't tell you can't tell the audience how you're feeling. That makes me angry. Which is that's like one of my favorite lines ever from Futurama.
Yeah.
It absolutely applies.
Yeah.
But it's cool because the characters knew everything going into this. This was not a story about self-discovery.
Right.
Everything we were doing, the characters were hiding their personal knowledge of what was going on.
Right, and I mean, they were doing that to lure us into unwittingly.
We had to join their little pact.
Yeah, or else we don't get to play the game.
Exactly.
And
I don't think about that, but you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
They're kind of holding the game hostage.
Yeah.
To make us go along with it. But
us talking about this really makes me wonder, what if I'd said, I'm satisfied with the ending? Would I have just got some shitty credits?
You probably just would have gotten credits.
You know
what? I actually forgot that they asked us that, and that's kind of interesting.
And when we said no, Reddy said, that's good. It's important you're still invested.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Because we wouldn't have been able to carry on.
Because obviously they couldn't go, all right, look, we need a player to help us murder some other guy in real life, okay? This is not a joke.
So that's an interesting angle you're proposing, because the game opens with Reggie telling us, the player, that there's going to be a murder.
Yes.
And so,
and they even red herring us a murder.
Exactly.
And say, did you like that?
So we get the Irving murder, and it was like, all right, well, here's what you were promised. Are you happy with that game?
Yeah.
Because if you keep going, we might show you something better.
Right.
And you don't know that the murder plot is a thing at this point. So, I'll keep going. Okay, I paid money for this. I need to see how this ends. And then by the time you know what's going on, you're in too deep.
Yeah. And in that way, like, I'm dumb and I don't know the guy's actual name, but Pony Island Dev really hit it out of the park.
I need to. I'm gonna look up his name.
Okay.
Because I feel like we're doing a disservice.
Yeah, we definitely are.
You know, by not.
This game was so good that I want to give him all the credit.
I want to say his first name is Dan.
Salvato.
Are you pulling that out of your ass?
No, because Dan Salvato is the Doki Doki.
Really?
Yeah.
I hope I'm not conflating the two. I hope there are just two incredibly talented Dans.
Yeah, right.
who make fourth wall breaking games. Daniel Mullins Games is the company.
Okay, legit.
So presumably Daniel Mullins is the creator of the game.
Yeah.
So okay, so good. I was right.
Okay.
Awesome. So Daniel Mullins is clearly a very gifted storyteller and game maker, which is a rare combination.
Yeah, because this is tangent, but we got 6 actual games in a game. Like, they're serviceable games on their own.
I especially. I would argue that Weasel Kid's a bit weak.
Okay, but it's Mario 1.
Right. I mean, there's not. But I just mean even by Mario 1 standards, it's a bit weak. But
I see.
But I mean, I like Weasel Kid too.
Yeah, Weasel Kid 2 was amazing.
The fucking Wasteworld is a legitimately good strategy RPG.
Yeah.
You can even take the cheating off and presumably just play
the real game. Yeah,
just play it as a real game.
And then it's better Fallout than Fallout.
Basically. And what's the space game called again?
Vicious Galaxy.
Vicious Galaxy seemed like a really good twin stick shooter type of game, even though it wasn't actually a twin stick shooter.
Yeah.
But yeah, a perfectly serviceable top down shooter kind of gameplay. Legends of
Secrets of Legendaria.
Secrets of Legendaria.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm already forgetting the name. Secrets of Legendaria was actually a pretty solid mini RPG, and again you could not do the cheatery.
Yeah.
And probably have a relatively complete experience playing that. What else was there?
There was Weasel Kid.
Yeah.
Fighting.
Oh right.
Fighting was actually really fun. Fighting.
Yeah.
It was
the only thing that would keep me from saying that's a pretty solid complete game is that that was a very cinematic thing.
True.
Because that was surprisingly, given the genre, that was actually probably the most story heavy game out of all of them.
Yeah.
You didn't get to do too many complete fights. The game, there was a lot of flashing forward and back and hackery, fuckery, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
because you got to pick your buffs. And they had the whole narrative of whiny Steam. You kept buffing Bryce every round to be OP.
Right.
So you got through that game quicker than all the others.
Right. And you had your hand kind of dragged through it for a while.
Yeah.
I guess that's sort of the exception. But it told a really good story.
Yeah. And I loved getting to play Cooking Granny after
a little bit of Cooking Granny.
And having it use the mechanics from Arena Battler X or whatever the name.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. So yeah, my only little thing was I kind of wish that he would have added the option just to play through the game content. Afterwards, without having to play through the whole story. Just let me run through Weasel Kid. Take out all the story stuff. Just let me jump on shit.
Actually, that would have been really cool, right? Is your new game plus is you just get to play the games. But no cheats.
But I suppose that also kind of fucks with the narrative of the game.
True.
Because the characters are free now, presumably.
Yeah, but New Game Plus could have been a separate mode where it's okay,
a non-canon.
We're at Lionel Studios game testing. Here's the alpha. See if there's bugs.
Actually, yeah, you easily go with that. I was going to compare it to Danganronpa, which I would never normally do, just because every Danganronpa game has a separate high school visual novel kind of mode where they take out all the murderiness.
Yeah.
It's a separate canon where the murder stuff never happens and you just play a straight up dating sim kind of game.
Right.
Complete. I believe even I don't actually play those games, but I believe it's even complete with you can romance a girl and get an ending for them and shit like that. So
right.
Something along those lines. It would have been neat just to be able to pop in and play some Weasel Kid, but whatever. So yeah, the Hex was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm straight up giving it 10 out of 10.
Easily.
Like you get the rubber ducky. As a programmer's best friend.
That's cool. So
It doesn't look like I'm gonna be able to fish long enough to get the locket that I mentioned that starts the ARG, but I mean it's here. Like
it's fine.
yeah, this game does have an ending, as I said before.
Right, but
It's actually really spectacular, but yeah.
we don't want to like make this a million-minute one.
No, we're not gonna do that. Anyway, I think for my opinion, like the Hex 10 out of 10. Please play it. It's well written, it's well crafted, and I'm really I want tell me his name.
Lionel?
No, Pony Island.
Oh, Daniel
Mullen? Yeah. I want that. I want.
I'm so terrible with names. So
Yeah, me too.
Let me bring it back up.
I want the fantastic developer behind this game to please make me more.
Daniel Mullins, yes, I think it's right.
Okay.
Yes,
Anyway, yeah.
Daniel Mullins, you are one of those rare auteurs in the video game industry who can make thought-provoking games without filling them with dumb bullshit. And I very much appreciate that in a gaming culture where people just want to endlessly speculate about things
Yeah.
without any actual substance. I'm sorry if that offends people, but I mean that's the situation. So,
Okay. Yeah.
on that note, we will see you guys in whatever we play next.
Yeah. Absolutely loved it. And
Hopefully it's Pony Island 2.
loved this game, and we'll see you guys.
Come on, Danny, make another game
Right. I'll see you later.
next time.